This new trade development is perfect for the Houston Rockets as we are just days away from the NBA trade deadline, and we now have a brand new target that has just been revealed. We talk about this target and the talks about all the trade assets and trade targets the Rockets have. Welcome to Rockets Digest, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews. I appreciate you hanging out with me and tuning into today's show. Lots of stuff to discuss, kind of some interesting trade topics, but let's go right into it here by talking about the tweet that is kind of sparking this video. Sleeper Hoops had it saying, a trade involving 76ers center Andre Drummond before the NBA trade deadline it seems likely, per Brett Siegel of Clutch Hoops. The Rockets have interest because of the Steven Adams season-ending injury. Now, this is, of course, something we all expected, that the center position was a, point of contention, especially once Steven Adams went out officially for the rest of the season. And so we're trying to kind of figure out what the best option is. To me, I think it definitely is to go out and grab somebody who can play to at least somewhat of the level of what Steven Adams was able to do with the Rockets. And a lot of that involves, your minutes per game, your ability to go out there and just put in solid minutes. He was averaging about 22 minutes per game when it was all said and done. 8.6 rebounds is something that, you'd like to replicate, but don't exactly know. Field goal percentage and blocks were all there. So just certain statistics that Steven Adams was able to put up that you'd like to kind of, replicate in some ways with a backup center now that you know that Adams will be gone for the remainder of the season. That's where we enter Andre Drummond. So if we compare the stats of Steven Adams to the stats of Andre Drummond, there are some similarities. I think the rebounds per game is obviously something you like at 8.7. He's playing about the same minutes per game at 19.6. This to me seems like the slam dunk of a trade. Obviously, it's relatively comparison to Steven Adams, right on par. I think that is something that you have to look at. The one thing that I think is really hard to replicate that you get with Andre Drummond is the offensive rebounding ability of Steven Adams. And guess what? The offensive rebounding percentage of Andre Drummond is at a 15+%. That's the 98th percentile and the 9th best in the NBA. His rebounding is something you really would like to kind of add to your team. Now, he does the same thing that we are trying to avoid, and that is, of course, the turnover ratio. But Drummond, for what you are trying to replace in Steven Adams, is relatively a perfect fit. I think for a lot of reasons, this would be something the Rockets should go out and pursue, and it seems like they are. Now, what would the price tag cost? Well, if they're trying to get rid of him, I think that tag could be a little low. The interesting part about this is they might end up asking for a Clint Capella type because of the contract stability the Rockets have. They need to kind of trade away players with money because as of right now, they've got about a $1.25 million buffer area in terms of what a trade they make and how much money they bring in with it, as they are hard capped at that first apron. Now, I think we'd all, in a perfect world, trade Clint Capella and say bring on Andre Drummond. And I think that's something that the Rockets can for sure do, and I think it'd be the smart thing to do. Obviously, when you think about what the Rockets have been able to do since losing Steven Adams, you think about the shot chart and where you want the shots to come from, and down low is where you want. Now, this is not to say that Alperen Şengün has not been playing at a all-star level. He has been legit absolutely fantastic. All these stats are one in their own right, but even going to last night's game versus the Indiana Pacers, 13 for 25. He had a 13 for 18 behind at the charity stripe, but the big numbers: 39 points, 16 rebounds, and 5 assists. Did turn the ball over 5 times, but I still think that we can look at Alperen Şengün, realize the player you have, realize what he's going to do, have the statement that he made last night that it is February, you have to play really hard right now, and I like that. But in the same breath, you also have to think about, okay, well, with that being said, they've also got to make sure that they keep Alperen healthy for the entirety of the year because he's now your main center. You think about the Rockets center depth chart, and it's gotten really thin really quickly. It's Alperen Şengün, Clint Capella, Jeff Green, and Dorian Finney-Smith. And DFS has not been playing well, first of all. Second of all, he's not technically a center. And behind Alperen Şengün, that room is light. That room is light, and it's not exactly something you want. So Andre Drummond is something that I think the Rockets should 100% wholeheartedly pursue. I think there's a lot of stats that he would really benefit the Rockets for, and obviously that's something that we want to, one, look at, two, is to kind of make the distinction of what Steven Adams brought to this team, understanding what he brought to this team, and from there thinking about, okay, what player or who can we add or what statistics do we want to supplement them? Who's the guy that we can bring in that can play the 20 minutes per game, which Andre Drummond can't? Who's the guy that can have the offensive rebound percentage that Steven Adams did? Andre Drummond can't. It's a lot of good things that you like, and it's something to definitely, take a wholehearted interest to, and I think that obviously the Rockets have continued to pursue that, and hopefully Rafael Stone can make that deal done. Now, obviously, Andre Drummond is not the only guy that we're looking at, but I do think it is an intriguing point before I move on to look at some of interesting statistics. This is from Husky Pros. Drummond played with the UConn Huskies, so that's why. The Philadelphia Sixers are open to trading Andre Drummond. We got that. Okay. This is the interesting statistic. Drummond is averaging 7.1 points and 9.3 rebounds this season, but he has only played in 5 of the 13 76ers games during the month of January. That's crazy, and exactly why I think his price tag might be a little lower than what his actual value is. Now, as I mentioned, he's not the only one the Rockets have been, quote-unquote, pursuing. Another guy they're looking at is Coby White of the Chicago Bulls. Funny enough, we got a report on Coby White yesterday saying that the Bulls are struggling to get a first-round pick in return. I understand why. I mean, I don't know if Coby is deserving of a first-round pick in return. Don't get me wrong, he's great. I think there's a lot of stuff that you like about him, but I just don't know. I'm not giving a first-round pick for this, I'll tell you that. So if I'm not going, I doubt NBA GMs will. So things that are good about him are obviously very apparent. 18.5 points per game. He can go off, has had multiple times in his career where he has had a great shooting night and got up to 30 points per game. That's just the way it kind of goes with a guy who puts up as many shots as Coby White does. But lots of things that Coby White does great, I think, can also be replicated with Reed Sheppard and growing him. I'm not willing to give up a king's ransom for Coby White. I think that I would be happy to go out and acquire him and put him on this team. But again, the one thing that I continue to look at when acquiring a guard or a ball handler or whatever you want to make of it, it's turnovers. And the turnover ratio for Coby White is downright terrible. 16th percentile. It's not good. He turns the ball over 3 times per game. That's 23rd worst in the NBA. It's just not something the Rockets need more of. They need less of. And fingers crossed that can be something that they get. And they wouldn't get that in Coby White. And so all this to be said, we're a couple days away from the trade deadline. I'm intrigued for your opinion. What do you think the Rockets will do? Do you think they will make a trade? If you think they do, then I want you to let me know down in the comment section with a Y for yes. If you think they will not make a trade, you think they're going to stand still, hold pat, then type in for no. Do you think the Rockets will make a trade ahead of the February 5th trade deadline? Y for yes or in for no? Let me know in the comment section. I think they will. I think it's going to be Andre Drummond just because of the statistics and things that I just brought up. He basically is a Steven Adams, filler in a way. Can do a lot of things he can do. Plays the same amount of minutes as he did with the Sixers. Obviously, he hasn't played as many games, but that's something that he will be easily, jumped into here with the Houston Rockets. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section on the trade deadline and what you think for the Rockets and what they'll do. For now, though, guys, we do appreciate watching. We'll see you next time here on the show. Peace out, guys.